us. It's a pleasure to connect with you guys through the I Love CVille Network, where our audience is live on every social media platform out there today. Very excited for today's program. We've been off air for about a week, and the first part of that week coincided with the Thanksgiving holiday, where this office enjoyed a much-needed break from work and the daily grind around here. And then the second part of the week coincided with just a monumental life event for my wife and I. I'll get to that in a matter of moments. I want to thank Scott Wagner of Scott Wagner Integrated Medicine for being a part of today's show. Dr. Wagner has your back. His team is growing, and they're undoubtedly positively influencing and positively impacting the quality of lives of so many people in this community. Topics we're going to cover today are the police chief in Charlottesville. We're heading in the direction of filling a chief spot that's obviously very important. We have not had a full-time police chief in place since Dr. Rochelle Brackney was fired, last year. So it's been over a year now. She, of course, is suing the city, claiming wrongful termination, a lawsuit based on her being a black female, and the fact that she was fired for being a female in Charlottesville, Virginia. We'll talk about that and who the new chief could be and who we think the new chief could be. Today we'll also chatter on the show the Whitehall school board seat in Albemarle County. This is a seat that is up for grabs since David Oberg unexpectedly resigned. Oberg was in the midst of his second term. He has promised us he'll come on the show to talk about why he resigned and some of the challenges and trials and tribulations that he enjoyed and faced while on the school board. There is a meeting on Thursday where the community will have an opportunity to meet the 9 candidates that have applied for this interim position. On today's show, we'll also talk Virginia basketball. They got an impressive win last night against Michigan on the road in Ann Arbor. This Wahoo basketball team looks primed for a Final Four push. I'm going to highlight this UVA men's basketball team, what makes them successful, and the potential that's on the horizon, not just on a hardwood standpoint, but from a Charlottesville, Albemarle County, and Central Virginia standpoint. Today's show, we'll also talk about a new data center coming to Henrico, Virginia. Facebook, aka Meta, is pursuing this data center. A lot of opportunity on the horizon in Henrico. And Judah Wickower, our director, and I will talk about Albemarle County and Charlottesville, Virginia, and what can make this this community better. First, I want to talk about some positive news. This news has certainly been out there in the community, and I've enjoyed hearing from so many folks in the community about offering congratulations and just saying welcome the new addition to our family. So I'll cut straight to it. On Sunday evening, late Sunday evening at 11:07 p.m. on 11/27/2022, my wonderful, beautiful, amazing wife gave birth to our second son. We were at Martha Jefferson Hospital, and it was just an absolutely amazing experience. Sitting bedside next to your wife, who you love dearly, and watching her deliver a baby, your second child, is something that is very difficult to put into words. I'm going to try today to put it into words. Women, ladies, mothers, they do things that men can never do or have never done. The pain experienced during childbirth, no matter how long the birthing process, is second to none. My wife, like everything she does, rose to the occasion in a champion's mindset and effort. She dug deep, and she pushed a 7-pound, 12.5-ounce baby boy through her body and into this world. I sat bedside watching her, holding her hand, offering her positive words of encouragement. But like many fathers who are in that position, there's very little we can do besides those positive words of encouragement. Your wife, your better half, the mother to your children, is doing all the work. And work she certainly did. I am truly grateful for her. I've found another level of love for her as she has put her body through 41 weeks of pain and difficulty and suffering and discomfort and sleepless nights for the betterment of our family and to birth yet another son into the Miller family. When our son was born, I was there to cut the umbilical cord. It was a whirlwind, especially deep in the evening. And I just realized yet again that I'm lucky to have married her. I'm the lucky one. I realized yet again that women should rule the world, and most of the times they do, and they certainly have earned it. We're now in the stage of welcoming a newborn into our family. We have a nearly 5-year-old in our family already. Big Brother has been welcoming and protective and kind and gentle and considerate so far. Very extremely fortunate to have my in-laws, my mother-in-law, my father-in-law in our house right now. They have been a tremendous asset. And now we get ready for the sleepless nights associated with having a newborn in our home. Waking up every 2 hours for either breastfeeding or bottle feeding, changing of the diapers, the vomiting, the weakened immune systems or the developing immune system. It's going to be a challenge. We certainly saw it last night. My wife in particular, as she's doing the breastfeeding. But we're thankful. We're grateful. We feel blessed. We're God-fearing people, and as our newborn went to the nursery for the various tests that every newborn gets, I was sitting bedside next to my wife and praying to God and asking for His hand in keeping our son safe and in helping him pass these tests. Fortunately, he was able to pass them with flying colors. I guess I'll close this by saying that I love you to my wife and our 2 boys and to my in-laws that are hopefully at the house watching this. I fell in love with her again on Sunday night into Monday morning in a completely different way as she sacrificed her body to birth a son into this world. It puts things into perspective. And sometimes as a business owner and someone who's hungry and has goals and aspirations that I'm not yet close to reaching, still in the pursuit of them, I get caught in the hustle and bustle and not the items that are truly of importance. And nothing is more important than your family. So thank you, sweetheart. And here we go with a, let's see, two and a half day old little boy now influencing, rocking our world. I want to thank you guys for all the many congratulations. I haven't had an opportunity to respond to all your texts and messages and phone calls. I wanted to start today's show by thanking you, the viewers and listeners, for being patient with us as we've been off air. I feel very, very lucky. And thank you, Julian Freeman and Travis Hackworth and Kevin Yancey and Lisa Costello and Juan Sarmiento and Jamie Turner and Andre Xavier and Kelly Jackson and Katie Pearl and Jennifer Kopp-Warren and Scott Aaronworth and all you guys that are offering us thank you right now. I've missed you guys too. Oh, okay. All right. Now let's talk some news and some topics that matter here with the Charlottesville community from a news cycle standpoint. Charlottesville, Virginia is pursuing a police chief, and a candidate forum was held on Monday, and this forum was open to the public. It was also live streamed for many to watch and view. This police forum had 3 candidates. And Charlottesville, Virginia hired a consulting group, yet another one, to attract a candidate pool. And this candidate pool went from 5 to 3 very quickly. In fact, one of the candidates, one of the 5, pulled himself out of the pool. So now we're down to 3 candidates. One of them is a name that we all should know, and that is Tito Durrette. Tito Durrette is Tito Durrette represents the Charlottesville, Virginia Police Department like the Pope represents holy water. Like Saint Nick represents long white beards, like Arnold Schwarzenegger used to represent bulging muscles and catchphrases from Terminator 2. Tito Durrette grew up in the Charlottesville Police Department. And while the city manager, who's a consultant himself, and while our 5 city councilors are interviewing and vetting and considering the 3 candidates, Tito Durrette being one of them, I think the answer is very, very obvious. Who should be the new police chief of Charlottesville, Virginia? And this platform, the I Love CVille Network, and please someone tag Tito Durrette and make sure he hears this. I think the answer is very clear. Tito Durrette should be the permanent police chief. He's been the interim police chief for almost a year now. Dr. Rachel Brackney fired as this police chief over a year ago. Man, a year flies, doesn't it? And now Dr. Brackney, who very interestingly was in attendance at the forum on Monday in person. So here a police chief forum with 3 candidates is being hosted by Charlottesville government, and at the actual forum was Dr. Rachel Brackney, the former police chief, fired police chief, who is now suing Charlottesville, Virginia for $10 million, claiming wrongful termination, that she was fired because she was a black woman. So that must have been a tenuous or awkward dynamic at the in-person forum. Tito Durrette, I'll give you some highlights. He grew up in Charlottesville. He attended Charlottesville High School as a police explorer. He undoubtedly has the gift of approachability in relating to people, including younger generations. He was the head of the traffic department at one time. He was involved in the SWAT team. He spent months as the interim police chief. He's very level-headed. He commands the respect of everyone he is around. He has the presence of a police chief. He's been accepted by this community because he is this community. The other two police officers that are being considered for police chief do not live in Charlottesville or Albemarle County or Central Virginia. I don't know why it took a consulting group or a year's worth of time to realize that Tito Durrette was the police chief that was the right choice to replace Dr. Brackney. But now we're in the top of the ninth inning. Not the bottom, but the top of the ninth inning. And as we head to the bottom of the ninth inning and the conclusion of this interview process, I encourage the city councilors who watch this show and the members of City Hall who watch this show to realize that the answer has been here all along. And it's a man who matured and evolved into an adult while in the police force in Charlottesville who is the right choice for this position. Tito Durrette should be the next police chief of Charlottesville, Virginia. My hope is Michael Rogers, the consultant city manager, and our 5 city councilors, Lloyd Snook, Michael Payne, Cena McGill, Juan Diego Wade, and Brian Pinkston, make this decision and make it very soon. Please realize that we are less than a year removed from a next election cycle. And the last thing we need is for the police chief position to linger and to materialize as a talking point in the next election cycle when 3 spots on council, McGill's, Payne's, and Snook's, all come up for re-election. Let's dot the I's, cross the T's, and let's close the chapter, a volatile chapter that is the police chief of Charlottesville, Virginia, and let's pick Tito Durrette as the new guy to lead this department. The next topic I'd like to highlight today is one of the Whitehall School Board seat in Albemarle County. I'll set the stage for you and then offer the who, what, when, where, why of what's next. David Oberg was the Whitehall District Representative for Albemarle County on the Albemarle County School Board. He surprised a lot of people when he announced his resignation, David Oberg. And I'll let him explain what happened, why he was influenced to resign. It was associated with a very sick family member, but that's his business to tell. He's indicated to us that he will come on the show once the timing is right with the health of his family. David Oberg's resignation opened up a seat on the school board. It's a 7-member board. He represents the Whitehall district. The school board is a focus point, not only in Albemarle County, not only in the city of Charlottesville, but really across the country. In fact, I think schools and education will influence many elections less than a year from now. Moms and dads that are watching this program, how many of you guys feel disenchanted with your child's education and disenchanted with the methodologies that are utilized to help them learn and grow? Moms and dads that are watching this program, how many of you guys feel dispirited, somewhat demoralized? Maybe you're disturbed. Maybe you're depressed. Maybe you're disgusted. Maybe you're downright downtrodden with how your kids are learning right now. If you put your hand in the air, let us know in the chat boxes, in the comment sections, wherever you're watching, why you're feeling this frustration. Our son is almost 5 years old, and we're in this early stage process of figuring out schools for him. And the talking points that you're going to hear in elections next year are the following. You'll hear teacher shortages and how they're influencing students. You'll hear school resource officers, police officers, and whether or not we should return them to the hallways of schools. You'll hear CARES Act funding and whether that money was utilized, the money from the pandemic, the right way, or if it's still sitting in escrow accounts waiting to be deployed. You'll hear the topic of transgender students in schools, undoubtedly. You will hear the topic of transportation issues. There's still students in Albemarle County and Charlottesville City that can't make it to school on time. We've had weather in the freezing, below freezing, weather in the 15, 16, 17, 18 degree standpoint when kids are supposed to be riding school buses, and middle schoolers, elementary students, and high schoolers are outside in this freezing weather waiting for buses that continue to be tardy, continue to be late, and are frequently and consistently late to pick up kids. That'll be a talking point. Curriculum will be a talking point, and the type of topics, the type of books, the type of conversations teachers and administrators are having with students. And lastly, you'll hear this topic as a talking point. You'll hear the role of parents and how much they should be involved with their kids' students, with their children's educational experience. I'm going to touch on some of these. My wife and I are going to be extremely involved in the education of our sons. We're going to be active stakeholders. We're going to ask questions. We're going to have conversations that may be awkward, but are based and rooted on what's best for our kids. I don't buy for a single second that parents should not be actively involved with their children's education. They should be the most active of anybody involved. And if someone says, look, it's up to you as a parent to be more of a bystander and a watcher than an active participant, I'm going to have a problem with that. I want to know what our sons are learning, what they're reading, how it's influencing them, how it's helping them mature and grow. I want to learn and understand the transportation of our boys and how they're getting to and from school if we choose that route. I want to understand every iota, every element of the schooling process with our kids. And I think most parents share that mindset. The Whitehall district is a rural district. It's a large district, but it's a very important district. There are 7 seats on this school board. So the applicants, and there are 9 of them that have applied to be the interim Whitehall District School Board member, they will certainly influence Albemarle County schools for the next year and change. This interim position will run its course until December 31st, 2023. The Whitehall district representative that is chosen for this interim spot will certainly also have potentially, the word is potentially, a leg up come election time. And the election for school board next year has 4 seats that are up for vote. It's a 7-member board. So if 4 of the 7 seats are up for re-election, that's the majority. You got the Scottsville district, the Whitehall district, the Rivanna district, and the at-large seat all up for re-election. 4 seats in November of next year. This majority that's up for grabs will help shape and mold Albemarle County Public Schools for the next 4 years. I believe, and I think you believe as well, that schools will go a long way in determining the outcome of elections at various levels. I encourage everyone watching this program to be a close follower of the applicants, and those applicants will have a chance to get to know on Thursday, excuse me, at 4 o'clock at Lane Auditorium. Each candidate will be interviewed by the board in a special meeting at the county office building on McIntyre Road. The interviews will be public. Each applicant will get 20 minutes of questions from the board members. And then there will be a public hearing on December 15th, during which the members of the community will be able to offer their feedback and opinions regarding who should fill the vacancy. The Albemarle County School Board will then appoint someone to represent the Whitehall District, and the interim position will be one that is held for a 1-year term starting on January 1. Watch closely what happens here, guys. Watch very closely. Because this could have an influence on the election in November. All right, I'd like to offer one other topic before we weave Judah Wickhauer into the mix. He's our director. Facebook's parent company, Meta, is adding to Henrico with a data center. Meta is adding a sizable data center to Eastern Henrico and the White Oak Technology Park. The plans for Meta call for a pair of data centers in Eastern Henrico. Facebook's parent company, Meta, purchased the land already in October for nearly $36 million. This site sits just south, across from Portuguese Road, from an existing Meta data center, a 2.4 million square foot data center campus. Meta built the existing data center in phases to the tune of $1 billion with the B plus dollars. So Facebook and Meta are doubling down in Henrico County. This is positive news for Henrico as it continues to boom with projects like this. I would encourage jurisdictions in Central Virginia to attract data centers, manufacturing, and businesses associated with warehouse space. These jobs pay well and are certainly needed in this community. While I am very excited about the many technology-based and high-level white-collar jobs that are quickly coming to Charlottesville and Albemarle County, I am also extremely concerned about the gentrification collateral damage that comes with it. And in December, which is tomorrow, which is crazy, all of us that are watching the show that own a home have real estate taxes coming due. And if you're watching this show and you rent and you're a tenant, your leases are impacted by these real estate taxes as well. because the landlords pass some of this tax exposure down to you, the tenant. We cannot, as a community, run jurisdictions solely by raising taxes on rooftops. Because if we do that, the community will become homogeneous, wealthy, and unrecognizable. That is something I am undoubtedly committed to. Fighting sources of income for Albemarle County not associated with rooftop taxes. Let's go to a two-shot, Judah. Let's welcome the esteemed, well-spoken, charming, charismatic, influential Judah B. Whitcower, known across the country as J-Dubs. How are you, my friend?
I thought you were talking about someone else that I didn't know was in the office with us.
I would say you're charismatic.
Well, thank you.
I would say you're esteemed and influential. You do not?
I don't know.
Where do you want to begin? First, I want to thank you for holding down the fort while I watched my wife be a superhero, like all other moms who birth children. A grueling process. I thought you held the fort down. I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for you. And I want to talk a couple of topics that are near and dear to our hearts, Albemarle County and the city of Charlottesville. You and I, like many people, live in Albemarle County, but work in Charlottesville City.
Yeah.
Charlottesville City, the epicenter for employment for the majority of people in Central Virginia. What can make these communities better? Albemarle County and Charlottesville City. Two jurisdictions that are divided by an invisible line that just about all people in this community don't know where it runs through. Anywhere you want to go, my friend.
I think the first order change for me would be I believe we have far too many bottlenecks. There are way too many places where you're just stuck going, one way to get somewhere, or you have to go far out of your way to get somewhere that with a little through street might ease traffic and help you get where. This is not a big area, and some of the places where you get trapped are just insane.
So you want to make transportation a little bit more efficient.
I think that would be nice.
I think that would be nice as well. Anonymous on Twitter, we'll get to your comments, and thank you for the congratulations. There goes Tito Durrette right there, the police chief, the interim police chief, literally walking in front of our studio along Market Street as he grabbed a bag from the Market Street grocery shop. Looks like he grabbed either a sandwich or lunch from the grocery shop next door. Tito Durrette, more comments on you, sir, in a matter of moments. Let's talk about what you just said, transportation and making it more efficient. Pantops. How many of you guys have driven through Pantops recently? How many of you guys have driven through Pantops on the way to Fluvanna County or Louisa County or Troy, Virginia, and you've gone through the new Diamond interchange on Pantops right at the Interstate 64 ramp? Put in the feed if you've gone through that Diamond interchange on Pantops. And put in the feed if you find that Diamond interchange in Albemarle County on Pantops frustrating, aggravating, and downright annoying to drive through. I'm raising my hand for those that are listening and not watching. That Diamond interchange.
I was lucky enough to avoid it, as I was given advice to go all the way down to 20 to Scottsville and take the road that runs by Mickey Tavern and Monticello.
By Carter's Mountain on Route 53.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you guys want to
All
save
the way out
yourself,
there.
if you want to save yourself some aggravation, use the interstate or Route 20 to Route 53 to avoid the Pantops Diamond interchange. It is a cluster duck. Quack, 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 quack.
Yeah.
Now, Lou Hatter, who's the spokesman for VDOT, in fact, Lou Hatter was a boss of mine at one time. When I was fresh out of the University of Virginia, I worked as a reporter for the Daily Progress, and Lou Hatter was the managing editor at the Daily Progress when the newspaper was owned by Media General. Lou Hatter is now the spokesman for VDOT, and he was recently quoted in one of the media outlets as saying, look, we know that Diamond Interchange is a cluster, duck, 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 quack, 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 quack. But we're going to work to fix it, and here's how we're going to fix it. Lou Hatter highlighted the timing of traffic lights needs to be made more efficient and needs to be optimized. He also highlighted the fact that one of the lanes on Richmond Road in the Diamond Interchange is currently closed. So Mr. Hatter, the spokesman for VDOT, said once the lighting, the timing of the traffic lights is optimized, and once that other lane is open, that congestion on the Diamond Interchange in Pantops will alleviate, will not be as bad. I think there's some truth to that. Now, as Connie Sylvester said, the Diamond Interchange is an absolute mess. That's your friend.
Yeah, Connie's great.
She said it took way too long, and she also agrees that Tito Durrette is the choice for police chief. I agree with Connie. The Diamond Interchange is a mess. I agree with Connie that it took way too long. But I encourage everyone that's watching and listening to this fair and fine talk show to be patient with this project. Because if memory serves correct, the roundabout at Zion's Crossroads, the Louisa County roundabout, where the Lowe's and the Walmart are, when that was first brought to market, that roundabout was a cluster duck, quack, quack, quack as well. And anything new is going to create frustration because of that novelty, because there's not experience of managing the novelty. So let's give them the benefit of the doubt. In the short term, I would encourage you to take, as Judah did, the Route 53 to 20 if you're looking to get anywhere into Charlottesville and to avoid Pantops, especially in the 8 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. and 4:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. vicinity. You want to avoid the Diamond Interchange in those two periods. Anything from 8 a.m. to 9:30 a.m., if you're driving on that Diamond Interchange, you're going to get angry and frustrated. And anything from 4:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m., if you're driving on Pantops and that Diamond Interchange, you're going to get angry and frustrated. It's a hot mess. So as a suggestion, and I'm utilizing these strategies myself, I drive our oldest son, it's so crazy to say that. I drive our oldest son to school in the morning, and we are now going a longer by mileage, certainly not most efficient as the crow flies way, to school. And that way is either the interstate or down by Stone Robinson, by Milton and Milton Village.
Yeah.
Driving down 53 by Carter's Mountain and up Route 20 like Judah suggested. Do it, try it. That particular path is beautiful.
Yeah.
It's scenic, it's gorgeous, it's definitely longer in mileage.
It might get a little clogged up around. I think there was a little bit slowdown in between Monticello and Mickey Tavern, but the rest of the route was great when I was on it.
Great, it's scenic, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
I would rather drive a little bit further and keep my car moving than sit in traffic congestion and get stressed out.
Right.
I'm going to dot the I's and cross the T's on the Diamond Interchange. Let's see what the Virginia Department of Transportation does once the final lane is opened on Richmond Road and once they've optimized the timing of the traffic lights. Right now, I am nostalgic of the roundabout at Zion's Crossroads, and that roundabout also created a lot of headache and anger and frustration when it was first implemented at Zion's Crossroads. Now that roundabout at Zion's Crossroads by Lowe's and Walmart is extremely efficient and effective. It's extremely efficient and effective. My hope is that will be the same case. Let's go to Anonymous, the I Love CVille versions of Deep Throat. And then I want to get some other ideas from you. That one was an excellent one, Judah Wickower. Anonymous on Twitter, he's the Deep Throat for the I Love CVille Network. He says, as for Tito Durrette, I agree he's the right choice for police chief. He also says this, but it would not be Charlottesville, Virginia without overpaying for a slow, crappy consultant and making the process long and drawn out. Anonymous, once again, I agree with you. He sends me direct messages on Twitter. I've met him one time. He's a knowledgeable, factual man that utilizes data to offer opinions and have conversations. And that's my kind of people. That's my kind of people. Anonymous also says this, Judah and Jerry, one way you can make both Charlottesville and Albemarle County better is reversion. Charlottesville should cease to be an independent city and revert to town status under Albemarle County. That's what Anonymous says. The city has shown it is incapable of governing itself in a mature way. And clearly, most of the problems the city and county face can only be solved by an integrated effort. That's Anonymous. Anonymous is saying, do away with the revenue sharing agreement. I'm going to say, thank you for sharing this. I just read it live on air. Period, enter, I just sent it to him. So he says, do away with the revenue sharing agreement and merge Albemarle County and Charlottesville City into one jurisdiction. Charlottesville City should not be a city anymore, Anonymous says, and it should revert back into Albemarle County. Now, I've spent 10 years knowing you, working alongside you. I know this is not your ballywick. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay. I'll offer some perspective on this. While on paper, there's some elements to reversion that make sense, Anonymous. And you know this already because you're a very brilliant man. Charlottesville City will never give up its status as an independent city, and it will never revert to town status in Albemarle County.
It's not a surprise.
Charlottesville City loves to pound its chest and tell the world that it is the best place to live. In fact, on our Charlottesville Albemarle transit buses, the tagline says, world-class city. Furthermore, if Charlottesville City reverted to a town instead of a city, basically what Scottsville is in Albemarle County, you would see a tremendous amount of job loss and men and women that are enjoying the bureaucratic sucking on the financial teat of bureaucracy, if you may.
So you think a combined Charlottesville Albemarle would pare down its government to more manageable standards?
You'd have less police presence and potentially more efficient. You'd have less government officials on the payroll. You'd have less folks in transportation management. It's always confused me why we have so many splintered transportation brands. You got, as I've said many times, University Transit Service. You got CAT, Charlottesville Albemarle Transit. You got Jaunt. Mm-hmm. The city is actually managing the transportation service for the public schools, which I find odd. You got the bus system for Albemarle County, the public schools for Albemarle, which is managed by the schools. You got a number of splintered brands. You could just have if reversion happens, the Albemarle County Transportation Service, ACTS. I've been a huge proponent of Central Virginia pooling its resources and creating the Central Virginia Transportation System, utilizing the same back-end infrastructure and the same technology to optimize routes, vertical integration essentially, and to pass on those efficiencies to riders. I think the Central Virginia Transportation System makes a tremendous amount of sense to me. Why we have so many splintered transportation services out there is confusing. Confusing to riders and frankly a waste of taxpayer dollars. There are positives associated with reversion, but the reality is Charlottesville is too into itself to ever allow that to happen. And Anonymous just said, yeah, just my dream. It ain't going to happen. You guys are right. I love when you comment on the show, Anonymous. I really very much do, sir. What else would make... Bill McChesney says this. And Connie Sylvester says, Anonymous, you got it right. So Connie's agreeing with Anonymous on one of our Facebook pages. Connie's agreeing with Anonymous. Bill McChesney says this. There's a big bottleneck on McIntyre Road and the John Warner Parkway. That's near you. Yeah. He says that was supposed to be 4 lanes. He also says, note 5th Street Extended and Ridge McIntyre are 4 lanes, as is Ryle Road on the other end. Even if you left the historic section of Ridge Street to 2 lanes, if McIntyre and John Warner had been 4 lanes, the traffic would be reduced. That's near you.
Oh yeah, I mean there are times when I'll jump on John Warner from 250, like after church if I need to get to somewhere down at the end of where Rio meets 29. But there are other times when I'll just completely stay away from John Warner because sometimes it's just not worth it. If I'm coming back into town, once you hit that light at 250, sometimes you'll be backed up halfway to the light at what is it, Melbourne. And it's just not worth it. It's not worth taking the chance. Sometimes I think to myself, which one do I go? Do I stay on Park Street and just take all the curves, or do I get on John Warner Parkway? And I got to say, half the time I get on John Warner, it was the wrong choice to make.
There you go. Judah Wickower, first-hand experience. That's what we're looking for. Kevin Yancey, the mayor of Waynesboro. Kevin, we love when you watch the show. Thank you for the kind words as well. He says, adding a light rail service on the existing Amtrak rails would make Charlottesville and Albemarle County better. I like that idea. Taking Amtrak, if you've never done it before, is not a bad way to travel. If you've been on the train, I've done it a handful of times, you can show up to the train 5 minutes before the train departs. You can bring luggage with you on the train that you're not taxed or charged for, like planes. Nice. And you have free internet on the train, although it can be spotty. Yeah. You may be able to bring I'm not saying I've done this. Maybe I have not.
Drink.
You can bring a beverage or 2 on the train if you keep it on the DL.
If you hide them.
Maybe you can, maybe you don't. I'm not telling anybody to break any rules. I'm just saying maybe you can, maybe you don't. There's also the beverage car. That's a fantastic experience if you've never had a meal or purchased beverages and enjoyed it on the beverage car while reading a newspaper, while riding Amtrak. It makes you very nostalgic of what travel used to be maybe 50, 75 years ago. Light rail is a good idea. I'm going to respond to Kevin. Great idea, Mayor of Waynesboro. Exclamation point. Enter, publish, send it to Kevin. I just did. Thank you for that idea, Kevin. What other ideas did you come up with, Judah Wickower, of how to make this community better, Albemarle County and Charlottesville City?
I think I would court some more big businesses. Certainly not like Amazon or Meta, but just I know not everyone is going to agree with this, but Denny's.
What's that?
Denny's.
Denny's?
It was great in some of the in cities that I lived in.
Denny's? Are we talking the?
I'm just using an example. Denny's.
Denny's, the breakfast place?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not knocking. I never expected Denny's as a way to make Charlottesville Albemarle County better.
Yeah,
was that the Big Slam breakfast? What's the breakfast from Denny's?
The Moons Over Miami.
The Moons Over Miami. Good Lord, those were good.
Yeah.
Moons Over Miami.
Then
wow, how do you make Charlottesville better? You get the Super Slam breakfast.
Yeah, then you...
The Moons Over Miami.
I'm just using it as an example.
No, I'm not knocking. You just caught me off guard by saying Denny's.
I'm trying to remember the name.
Crackle Barrel?
Yeah. I was thinking more along the lines of
Denny's.
Olive Garden.
Okay.
Just some alternatives. It's... I think what's nice about some of the bigger brands, not when they're taking over and putting everyone else out of business and creating monopolies on a particular type of business or all businesses like Amazon, but oftentimes they're a little bit cheaper. They're just, I think, not everybody wants to go down onto the downtown mall, for instance, to get Italian. Not everybody wants to, pay the prices at some places. And when you get brands that can afford to lower the prices because they've got that economy of scale, I think it works. As long as they're not putting anybody else out of business, choice is a great thing.
Bob Yarborough, I didn't see that coming either. The king of Redfield's watching the program. He says, hey, I'm not knocking the Moons Over Miami or a delicious Grand Slam breakfast, or how about that Southwestern Benny breakfast or the T-bone steak and eggs and that Grand Slam sandwich. Denny's. Yeah. Okay. How do you make Charlottesville and Albemarle County better? I think what you're saying
for instance, like the Home Depot coming to the mall,
Fashion Square Mall.
Yeah, I think that's great.
Home Depot bought it. There's a difference there. Home Depot forced its way into Albemarle County by purchasing the real estate. Home Depot previously tried to get into Albemarle County by renting and leasing real estate, and Albemarle County proved to be very arduous to work with, because Home Depot has set regulations of what it wants its branding and its signage to look like. And Albemarle County would not budge on its branding and its signage. And as a result, Home Depot said, nah, we're not going to do it. Now Home Depot purchased the real estate. While they will still have to follow signage regulations and signage permitting and the red tape that is associated with it, because they purchased the real estate, they have a little bit more leeway.
Yeah.
This is basically what I think what you mean by suggesting the Moons Over Miami, the Grand Slam breakfast, and a scrumptious and downright delectable Southwestern Benny breakfast. I think what you are saying is being more open-minded to economic development.
Yeah.
I think that's what you are saying. We need to be more economic development open-minded. I 1,000% agree with you. Albemarle County should not be so difficult to work with when it comes to economic development.
Yeah.
The fact that it takes 90 days to get a simple building permit shows that partially it's difficult to drive economic development in Albemarle County.
Yeah.
The fact that it was so difficult for Deschutes Brewery to open up an East Coast hub over there by JWC and the 29 South interchange shows that it was difficult to work in Albemarle County, to do economic development in Albemarle County.
Yeah.
We need to start prioritizing jobs that are not just high-dollar, white-collar jobs, high-dollar tech jobs.
Yeah.
We need to start having jobs that offer true professional verticality for all levels of the educational spectrum.
Yeah.
If we become this island that is science, technology, engineering, math, data, and jobs of that merit, then we will undoubtedly become homogenous, white, and wealthy. And that's what's happening.
Yep.
I also think, and I started the program by saying this, if Albemarle County doesn't start figuring out ways to drive revenue not associated with rooftops, they're going to gentrify, the jurisdiction's going to gentrify people out of here. And that's going down.
And then we're going to lose a lot more than just people. We
lose culture.
We've already been seeing ooey gooey, whatever it is.
The grilled cheese spot?
Yeah, go out of business.
In less than a year.
Yeah. And if you, if you start, when you start gentrifying, how far are people going to be willing to come in to drive to work at a cheesy sandwich shop? How far are people going to be willing to drive to come in and work at a mud house?
I mean, here's a perfect example. You know, depending on who you ask, and this is the business that I'm in, we're about to lose another restaurant in the downtown mall. You probably saw this on Reddit.
I think I did. You're talking about a certain fairly central eatery.
It's a fine dining restaurant.
Yeah.
Associated with a brewing company.
Mm-hmm.
In a name that's difficult to pronounce. Many people, including folks that are in the real estate landlord business and folks that are in the service business, are indicating to me that this particular brand and restaurant, and I'm not going to say who it is, you can figure it out on your own, is about to go out of business.
That's what I've heard.
And it may be a reflection of the parent company in totality having financial difficulty.
And some of the issues that we've heard surrounding that company.
Other units or other brands associated with this parent company have already closed. There was one in Stonefield that closed, kind of like a sports bar and grill. There was a short-lived, call it a tryout, on High Street for a coffee place. Okay? So you're starting to see the domino, the house of cards. You know the phrase.
Yeah.
To Judah's point, if $100 a head establishments are struggling, and $8 a head, $10 a head establishments, ooey gooey, are struggling, what can make it? What can survive? And to Judah's point, if we don't have the staff or the labor, the human capital, the people, to work these $100 a head establishments, $10 a head establishments, how can they open or stay alive?
Yeah.
If the jobs that we have in the community are science, technology, engineering, math, data, and that's it, who is going to work the jobs, or who can afford to live in the community to work the jobs at the eateries, at the drinking spots, at the clothing stores, at the laundromats, right?
Yeah. And clearly these are partially connected issues. They're not all, directly related. But yeah, if you're gonna 100% prioritize white collar jobs, and basically invite a bunch of people to move in, come in, find homes, buy property around here, then as as the neighborhoods gentrify and the people that can't afford the new prices, as we saw, over the last couple of years before the economy started having problems, what happens when people start moving out? I wouldn't want to drive 45 minutes to pour someone's coffee at 8 o'clock in the morning.
No, nor could you afford to.
Yeah.
Because the wage that you're going to earn pouring someone's coffee at 8 in the morning is going to be capped at a certain level because of the work that it is. Yeah. And the drive and wear and tear on your vehicle, and most importantly, the opportunity cost of your time going 90 minutes round trip will not justify the wage that you earn each day.
Yeah. And the jobs might end up following those people.
You're saying as folks are gentrified out of the community, those jobs will follow the people as well. So not only is it the gentrification of households, but it's the gentrification of labor.
Yeah, let's say people start moving to Nelson because they can afford it. Well, businesses are going to build up around that growth in population, and those people will have jobs. Otherwise, they're going to have to move somewhere else. And so, as a result, wherever they end up moving is going to expand to invite them in, I would think. And Charlottesville, if the ooey gooey cheese sandwich shop closes down and the coffee shops close down and the and the other restaurants close down and the whatever other stores are bleeding people, what do you think the people working in the white collar jobs are going to do? They're going to look around and say, look, I can't find a good cup of coffee anywhere. All the good restaurants are closing down, and they're going to start looking for something else. They're going to start looking for a job somewhere else.
Vanessa Parkhill watching the program, Queen of Earlysville. Vanessa says, diverse sources of employment are good for everyone in the community. Vanessa Parkhill says, Vivace, Tavola, and Orzo are not for everyone. Well, those are some of my local favorites. Olive Garden has its place in the market and would not likely pull customers away from the likes of the places I just mentioned, Vivace, Tavola, and Orzo.
Definitely.
A lot of truth to that.
Yeah.
A lot of truth to that.
I love those places. I love Sal's, but, sometimes...
Maddie Smith, yes, that is true. We did have a second baby. Thank you, Maddie, for the kind words. We love you, Maddie Smith. Anonymous on Twitter says, we want to add employers who will hire people already here and not employers who will bring lifestyle refugees from existing employment bases like Manhattan, San Francisco, or D.C. Anonymous, that's your best comment of the day right there.
Yeah.
I'm going to give him the fire emoji back right there. That's a DM on Twitter. I'll repeat it. Anonymous, and I'll give you props. He says we want to add employers who will hire people already here, not employers who will bring lifestyle refugees from existing bases in New York, San Francisco, or D.C. All right, so why don't I add this, okay? Everyone that's watching, and Todd Rath, the king of Nellysford. Actually, Todd Rath, your new moniker, Todd Rath, is going to be the king of cider. Todd Rath owns Blue Toad Hard Cider in Nellysford. He's watching now. His new moniker, and help me remember this, is going to be the King of Cider. Todd Rath, the King of Cider. I'm going to get to your comments here in a matter of moments. Those of you that are watching this program know I want to get civically involved, and details are forthcoming on a Board of Supervisors push for yours truly in Albemarle County. Okay? There's a time and a place for that announcement, and it's not right now. But many of you that watch this program know I want to get civically engaged. I've been self-employed for 15 years now in this community. I've been in Albemarle County in Charlottesville, Virginia for 22 years. I'm 41, so over half my life has been in Albemarle County. Okay, and it's time now to get civically engaged, and I'm going to ask for you, the viewers and listeners, help in helping me get elected and helping with the campaign and fundraising with the campaign and making this push. Okay, so time and place for that. That's not right now, but it's forthcoming. I want to highlight Todd Raff's comment about employers, and thank you, King of Scottsville, Philip Dow, on the baby. Congratulations. Thank you very much. My wife did all the hard work. All I did was hold her hand. Anonymous on Twitter made the comment that employers should be hiring people from the local market as opposed to bringing what he is calling lifestyle refugees from places like New York City, Manhattan, San Francisco, or D.C. So maybe this is the push, Anonymous. And tell me what you think, viewers and listeners. Economic development should be prioritized for Albemarle County, but that economic development perhaps should be earmarked or should be caveated with a hiring condition tied to a percentage of new hires from within the market. We can utilize economic development and tax advantage benefits and perks and strategies, but those tax advantage benefits, perks, strategies, and the fast tracking of permitting should be caveated or conditioned with a certain percentage of hires coming from within the actual market and from a certain radius or footprint within the market. I think that's a great idea.
It's an interesting idea. I don't know how easy it would be to regulate that.
I think it would be very straightforward to regulate.
Somebody's got to watch.
Todd Rath, how would you regulate that? Anonymous, how would you regulate that? Bob Yarborough, how would you regulate that? Paul McCarter, how would you regulate that? Economic development, the fast tracking of permitting, maybe the changing of zoning to allow certain buildings to get created to jumpstart that development, tax advantages, but that economic development is done in a way where the development is caveated or has a condition or strings might be the best word, associated with hiring within the market and not bringing digital nomads or lifestyle refugees, as Anonymous has called them, from outside the market. Mm-hmm. That's smart economic development. How you can caveat that. I'm willing to bring this data center, like Henrico, we talked about. Henrico's bringing this a Meta data center. Listen to this. Henrico encouraged, influenced Meta to open a data center, and it did it last year by slashing the tax rate on data centers by 88% to 40 cents per $100. This is on richmondbizsense.com. You can find everything I'm talking about the Henrico and Meta data center on richmondbizsense.com. So Henrico encouraged the data center, Meta's data centers, to come by slashing the tax rate on data centers by 88% to 40 cents per $100. That encouraged Meta to open data centers in Henrico County. That's a creative economic development solution by Henrico County.
As long as they have an answer to that loss in taxes, I think that's great.
How they answered that loss in taxes is by the jobs that are created by that data center.
Right.
Especially if those jobs are done within the community.
Yeah.
Because if the jobs come from outside the community to the data center,
yeah.
Then all the jurisdiction has done is created more tax and more difficulty of managing the local jurisdiction because there's more people on the roads. It drives up the cost of living, and it makes quality of life more arduous and expensive. They got to come from within the community. Todd Raff says, I think access to certain payroll forms, i.e., for example, 94-1's quarterly, the county could track employed residents. That's what I was thinking as well. Utilizing the payroll to track whether the economic development hired from within. Utilizing the payroll. You were surprised to know when we talked about this, when you get your paycheck every other Friday, the substantial amount of taxes that I'm paying on your salary. Were you not surprised?
Yeah.
You were shocked, were you not?
I was shocked by the amount.
It's shocking, right?
Yeah.
Employers that are watching this program know this. When you employ staff, you are paying in taxes almost nearly the equivalent, not almost, a substantial amount, flirting with what you are paying your employee. Payroll and tracking those forms would be a way to see if the economic development that was stringed or conditioned or caveated by hiring locally was actually actualized. Bob Yarborough says Bob Yarborough is the king of Redfields. Some municipalities do this in conjunction with the community college system. It's tough, but you can put riders in contracts for new incoming businesses. Bob Yarborough, the king of Redfield, says the community colleges agree to establish programs that feed the needs of the business, and the businesses help fund those programs.
Yeah.
That's damn good, Bob Yarborough.
That would be great.
Bob Yarborough, that's good.
If businesses were working with PBCC and providing guaranteed jobs right out the gate when students graduate, that would be terrific.
That's damn good stuff, Bob Yarborough. And congratulations on the nuptials of your beautiful daughter, Bob Yarborough. And I believe you have a grand puppy in your family tree now, a new grand puppy in your family tree. So Bob Yarborough has a lot, and his beautiful wife Stacy have a lot to be thankful for this holiday season. Very good stuff from Bobby Yarborough. Todd Rath, I'm going to respond to your comment here. Todd Rath, you make the program better, sir. Blue Toad Hard Cider. Make sure you get a lot of that this holiday season. King of Cider, Todd Rath. Look, Paul McCarter watching the program here. Paul, I've missed some of your comments here. Let me see if I can get them. Paul's the king of the South Side. A lot of comments coming here. Okay, so he says that if you utilize this, and it's a fair point, if you do utilize the caveat and conditioning of new companies with hiring within the community, that you're going to need additional government employees to do the tracking and reviewing.
No doubt.
That's certainly true. But I think that is a fair, I think that is a reasonable additional cost to guarantee the hiring happens within Albemarle County. Because as Anonymous put it, if you get economic development, and Anonymous says to the viewers and listeners on Twitter via DM, look at first source hiring agreements. That is usually how it's done. Anonymous on Twitter, our deep throat, says look at first source hiring agreements. That is usually how it's done. Economic development is fantastic for communities, but if that economic development brings in new employees that are digital nomads or as Anonymous put it, lifestyle refugees, these people sprinting to this area are just going to scoop up their real estate with the high dollar salaries that they're earning and driving up the cost of living while congesting the infrastructure and putting more tax on the infrastructure. What?
We've already seen it.
We've already seen it. We literally have already seen it. I mean, folks across the street are from me represent that. And they're fantastic people.
Yeah.
But working from an ISP in their basement for DC and Northern Virginia employers.
Yeah.
Literally.
Or even if they were coming to work at a job in Charlottesville, bringing a larger, a larger income and the ability to, the ability to pay more for properties that they want.
Right. Substantially more.
Yeah.
Outbidding locals, driving up the cost because closings like that are comparables and drive up the value of the whole neighborhood. Literally.
Yeah.
So many layers to the onion. So many layers to the onion. Man, it's good to be back connecting with you guys. I love you guys. Love you guys so much. It's good to be back here. Good to be back. Lee Elberson, the CEO of Claiborne, is watching. Lee Elberson will forever be known. I'm going to tell him right now. Lee Elberson, if you're still watching right now, I'm tagging him. You will forever be known on this show as the king of education. Lee Elberson, you will forever be known as the king of education. He says congratulations on the baby boy. John Blair, who's the king of knowledge, is watching the program, and John Blair is forever known as the king of knowledge. JB, John Blair, the king of knowledge. All right, that is the... Man, what is today? This is what happens when you don't sleep for 3 days.
Wednesday the 30th?
Really, my wife is the one that's not sleeping. Man, she is truly an amazing human being. Today is Wednesday. Wow, today's Wednesday. It's been a blur. This is the Wednesday edition of the talk show. I think it's been done pretty well. We haven't done a talk show, the I Love CVille show, since Tuesday, so it's been off this 8 days, a week and change. King of cider, Blue Toad Hard Ciders, Todd Rath. COVID definitely drove in the Nova, DC, bigger city moves to our counties, as well as the new connectivity in Nelson County with the fiber and the broadband. It's somewhat entertaining and sometimes frustrating at what baggage some of these newbies bring. It's true. I mean, I've seen it. I don't want to out anybody. I'm not trying to out anybody. How I've seen it is the ability to purchase. This is digital nomads. Digital nomads. Mm-hmm. Very close to us, digital nomads in the neighborhood. A digital nomad with the ability to purchase an $800,000 plus home, $800,000 plus brick home, on over half an acre of Albemarle County dirt, after selling a $1 million plus much smaller home in DC, Northern Virginia, taking that big bag of money, buying an $800,000 plus home, putting in hundreds of thousands of dollars into renovations to improve an already beautiful $800,000 plus home, but to tailor and spec it to exactly what they wanted, utilizing a basement internet service provider to work with the Northern Virginia firms while having multiple kids in the most expensive and high-dollar private schools humanly possible. That's one of the byproducts of the pandemic. Digital nomad.
And also, I think just a changing American footprint. It's not just the pandemic, but I think the pandemic may have sped up the process.
King of Greenwood, Kevin Higgins, says congratulations on the baby boy. Thank you, Kevin Higgins. Thank you for watching the show, sir, and participating and sending us topic ideas. We very much appreciate you, sir. Thank you, Kevin Higgins. Bob Yarborough says, we'll figure it out. I'm from a poor and challenged southern state. There are worse problems to have. I believe he's from Mississippi or Alabama, Bob Yarborough. And he's just an all-around A-plus guy. Bobby Yarborough. All right, that's the show. I love you guys. I've missed connecting with you guys. Keep the comments coming. Keep the participation coming. You shape the discussion. News and details on announcements coming soon. Thank you kindly for joining us on the Wednesday edition of the I Love CVille Show on the last day of November in 2022. For Judah Wickhauer, my name is Jerry Miller. Have a good afternoon.